Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. My name is Roydell Clarke. Welcome to my channel, and today's video is why I believe most people are bad parents, even if you don't have kids. That's what I'm going with for now. Maybe the title will change, but it's an idea that I've had for quite some time, an idea that is very much foundational in the soloist concept. If you're not familiar with the soloist concept, it's because I haven't spoken about it, but it is available on my website, roydellclarke.com/ the Soloist Project. You'll be able to get some insights. And I'm looking to build out the rest of this channel. So hopefully by the time you actually come across this video, there'll be other videos and content that I've created around this. Bold statement, that is. Bold statement to say most people are bad parents. Bold statement to say you're a bad parent even when you don't have kids. Not so much bold, definitely more crazy. Who says that? How does that even make sense? So, yeah, there's a paper that I've written in high school that was kind of based off of this. I ended up writing a philosophy paper on this in university as well too. And at that point, I did receive recognition for that paper as very insightful and something that should be further developed. Now, I was a business major. I wasn't a philosophy major, but I did receive a philosophy minor. And so I did a lot of philosophy. So that was very much fun. So this right now is something that I'm going to love explaining. So if you stick around, hopefully by the end, I think it'll make sense where I'm coming from. All right, so let's jump into it. So here's where I was coming from. Here's my starting point. I'm going to start off by asking you a question. And the question is, if someone, if someone has two children, right? We're speaking about one individual parent, let's just say. Obviously, it takes two, but there's two children. This one parent, if they have two children and they nurture the hopes, dreams, and aspirations of one child, but forget about the hopes, dreams, and aspiration of the other child, in your definition, in your understanding of what you believe a parent is, the parent's responsibilities, in what you believe makes a good parent based off of those things, and what makes a bad parent, would you say that the parent that treats the hopes, dreams, and nurtures that of one child, but does not do the same for the other child of theirs, is a good parent? Would that fit into the category of good parent for you? In my definition, in my understanding, it is not that way, right? It is not that way whatsoever. And so if we have that understanding, at least we're on the same page. I know a lot of you guys listening to this are probably listening and are looking for that first point to disagree. Hopefully we can agree up until this point. I'm sure there'll be other points for you to disagree. I'm just starting off with some common ground, or what I believe could be common ground. So great. If we have that understanding that if you have kids, you should be nurturing the hopes and dreams of all your kids, not completely rejecting the hopes and dreams of one of them. And this is the first, how do I say, premise. That's the word I was looking for. This is the first premise. And again, in logic, we talk about premises and conclusions. Premise, conclusion. Sky is red. Tom is red. Therefore, Tom is the sky. Again, logically, it makes sense. There's validity and other things to it, whatever. But logically, it follows that. So if I can disagree with the premise, if I can prove the premise to be false, then therefore the subsequent conclusion is also false, right? Based off the premises. Okay, so great. I'm just trying to distract. Now let's get back to it. The reason why I say, if we have the understanding that that's what a bad parent is, what I'm arguing is that most people do this, right? So the main disagreement is, if we agree to that, then you have to argue with me, or I'm proposing that you have to argue that most people aren't bad parents because they don't do that. But I also said something else. I also said, yes, but you said if they don't even have kids, they're still a bad parent. How does that make sense? The reason why I say that is because the child that we do not nurture their hopes, dreams, and aspirations for is the younger version of ourselves, is a child within us that also had hopes, dreams, and aspirations that we've now locked away and not nurture or care for at all. It's actually the first child that we have to look into. I would even, and the reason why this makes sense to me is because, and I'm not talking about when we're younger and we say, what do you want to be when you grow up? That is something that was dictated to us, right? For a child to say lawyer, doctor, engineer, that wasn't their hopes and aspirations necessarily. Their hopes and aspirations was something else. And in order to do that, take a step back. So as we grow older, life happens. Life hits us all. And if you're still young, if you're still in high school or just coming out, what happens in your early 20s is that everything that you thought was going to go your way or play out that way, it should get shattered. If it doesn't get shattered by the time you're 25 or drastically change where you have to pivot, then you're not doing something. You're not pushing yourself enough because you should, and that's the reality of life. It is a canon event, as they say, for anyone that watches anime or certain shows. It is canon. It must happen. There is no way around it. It is not filler. It is what happens. And so when life happens, what we tend to do is prioritize current events and stop trying to dream chase. This is where our dreams go to die. I forgot who had said it, but somebody says a lot of people are dead at 60 but die at 20 or something like that. But the idea, I'm butchering the quote, which unfortunately, but the idea behind it is that long before we actually head to our graves, we die inside because we stop living. And part of that living is nurturing, going, dream chasing, aspirations. We just give up on all those things. And the child version of us, we no longer nurture. However, when we have kids, what we tend to do is try our best as parents, and I'm not a parent myself yet in that sense, to nurture the hopes and dreams of children. Yet we very much oftentimes forget the hopes and dreams of ourselves. So we very much have to prioritize that. And so this is what is foundational to the soloist. Be about you, be a soloist, helping you dive within yourself to understand what those hopes and dreams were of that child version of you, and help bring about that by developing your tools, insight, skills to make sure those things are met. What are those things that what you did when you were a child that gave you that sense of self satisfaction, happiness, and worth? Some of us, it was watching while we're eating cereal at that time in the morning before we go, we were watching a show on TV, right? Could we bring that back in an aspect where before you go to work, sit down, have breakfast, and watch a show from way back, right? Or watch a show from that time period or something like that that gives you that sense of of giddy happiness, that childlike feeling that you've had. And it's the nurturing, and though it's the same body, it's actually nurturing the child version of you that still exists within you, right? And so anyway, that's the idea behind it. What I'm really saying is not everyone's a bad parent in the way that they are treating their kids now. I'm just saying we neglect ourselves in a very simple sense. We neglect the younger child version of ourselves as we get older, and we don't know how to help that child. And it doesn't mean that we're not a good person, that we don't want great for our children, but our first child, as we become an adult, becoming means to become, to let go of who you are and who you were, which is the child version of you. It's our duty now as adults to help that version, to help actualize and nurture those visions, those dreams. And so my personal goal is to help people re-identify with what those are, find those things they could do on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, help nurture them and help them remember them, and then give them the tool set, mindset, heart set to reintroduce themselves to the world again in their most professional and personal, passionate sense, making sure that all their kids, whether they have kids, offspring, whether they have offspring or not, that all their kids, including the child version of the self, is actualized. So that was the idea behind it. We're running 10 minutes. I want to cut it short. I am butchering the original article that I had. Obviously, in the philosophy paper, you have to reference the philosopher that you're studying and the material within that unit and things like that. I definitely did that as well. But I just wanted to share this. I thought it was a different take on something that a lot of people don't necessarily think about, but something that I think may spark that discussion. What are those things for you that you felt were, that gave you that feeling of happiness? I remember for me, anime, having 3, 4 anime episodes, different shows that I watch, and having it release on a Tuesday and forgetting about it and getting home and realizing, oh, yo, there's an episode that's out today. And being able to sit down and watch it and putting my, stuff together and buying a bag of candy or something like that at that time, sitting down and watching it and that feeling that I had, so I stopped watching anime in my early 20s, gave it up, started doing some other stuff, but, bringing it back, still finding time to sit down, not as often, but sit down and watch an anime episode. And I'll tell you, it very much feels good. It feels nostalgic. It feels right. And this is the feeling that I would like other people to have as well too. So there it is. That's this video. Why I believe most people are bad parents. Again, that's not the full breakdown of it. I definitely want to develop this further. But I think for a video, I think that's good enough. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you stuck around to the end, please go ahead and give us a like or a comment. Let me know what it is for you and whether or not you agree or disagree with most people being a bad parent now that you understand where I was going with it. So let me know all that in the comments, and I appreciate you guys taking the time. My name is Roydell Clarke. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.